Hi, we're Ashley and Grayson, and we travel full-time with our 2 dogs and our cat. Our home on wheels is a Ford F-250 with a Cirrus 820 truck camper. If you love adventures, amazing views, and exploring new places, consider subscribing to our channel. We also show you the everyday reality of living this lifestyle. Follow along as we continue to live our life on the road and share it with you.
What's going on, everybody? It's our full-time adventure with Grayson and Ashley, and we're sharing the reasons why we think you should never RV.
And these are some of the reasons of things that we maybe don't like about RVing, or have heard from other people that they do not like about RVing. This is not us saying that we do not like RVing or that we're gonna stop RVing. Just a little disclaimer. We've been on the road for 2 years now. We absolutely love it. So we are gonna share with you the things that we do not like about RVing and things that you might not like about RVing either. So let's get into it with the first thing.
The first reason why RV life might not be for you is maybe you're not handy. This lifestyle takes somebody who is willing to learn. Even if you don't know much to start in terms of being handy or fixing things by yourself, you have to have a willingness to learn. And if you're willing to learn and you're willing to adapt and become handy, this lifestyle could actually be for you. But if you're not, this lifestyle could really be overwhelming. So these RVs, they might look all pretty on the outside, all pretty on the inside, but typically they are not built that well. We've had 5 different rigs, and honestly, this is the best built rig we've had thus far, and we still do have issues here and there with things falling apart or breaking. Things will break, things will need to be fixed, and that's just the reality of this lifestyle. Even if you drive your RV on the smoothest of roads and go to the nicest campgrounds with the most smooth, perfectly paved roads, I guarantee things will vibrate, things will rattle, and they will break, and they will need to be fixed. And that's on you. It doesn't have to be on you, and you can go take it to an RV dealer if you'd like. But the problem with that is that lead times for the service department, they're usually months out, 1. 2, it usually takes months to fix, even if it's something as simple as a water heater. And we've heard this from many, many people. So you wait months to get your RV looked at, you wait months after that for it to get fixed, and you spend an arm and a leg trying to do it. So we opt to do our own fixing of things that break, or modifying things that break to make them better. But we recommend you become handy, or RVing might not be for you.
The second reason why RVing might not be for you is because you really do need to follow the weather. You might be wanting to go on a trip to Colorado, and then if you didn't look at the weather, you might not realize there's gonna be a huge snowstorm that you need to prepare for, and stuff like this happens all the time. Speaking of Colorado, we actually drove to a spot up in the mountains without knowing there was gonna be a huge snowstorm. We didn't have water, we didn't have enough food, and we definitely were not prepared for the storm. In that scenario, we ended up having to drive like 3 hours away to get out of the snowstorm and make sure that we were better prepared. Another example is you might be wanting to go to a spot in the woods and not realize that it had rained a few days before, and it's super muddy, and if you were to drive to that spot, you'd get stuck in the mud. So you really do need to know what the weather is like before you go somewhere, and during your stay, what the weather is going to look like. And if you are not willing to follow the weather and be prepared to make changes, RV life just might not be for you.
Oh, hey there. The third reason why RVing might not be for you is if you don't like to drive a lot, this lifestyle is definitely not for you. So take that driving you do at home, and now think about going to the grocery store and doing all that kind of jazz. But now, every week or every 2 weeks or every month, you move your house. So your entire house moves. You're always on the road. You're always driving. So in the past, I think 2 years, we've put, 70,000 miles on our truck. Something crazy. And if you don't like driving, I'm telling you, this is not for you. I personally do not mind driving. We do very much stop pretty often to use the restroom and stretch and walk the dogs and so on and so forth, because that is what kind of keeps us sane. But at the same time, we probably could go 4, 5, 6 hours and put on a podcast and be all right. So if driving is not your cup of tea, or not your partner's cup of tea, or not your friend's cup of tea, or not anyone's cup of tea that you plan on traveling with, or your own, I'm telling you, it's gonna be difficult to do this. But the one pro to this con of RV life is that you can determine how much you drive. You can drive every day, you can drive every week, you can drive every month. If you're stationary, it's like having a house. So it really depends on what your travel looks like, and that determines how much you actually drive. And you can make it what you want. So we don't mind driving. We can hop spots every couple of days and be all right. But with these current gas prices, we aren't doing that. But if you don't like driving, RV life is not for you.
The fourth reason why RV life might not be for you is if you are not able to adapt to plans changing. You can make all the plans you want, but I promise you something is going to mess it up and you will not be able to follow through with those plans. Before traveling, I used to have my days pretty planned out, my weeks pretty planned out, and I knew exactly what I was doing and where I wanted to go and all that kind of stuff. Once we started traveling, I kind of continued still planning and quickly realized every time I'd plan, something would go wrong or we would just end up somewhere else, staying somewhere longer, meeting someone new, and stuff just changed all the time. You can have your heart set on going to a spot and get there and it not be what you were expecting, or something feel off and you don't want to stay there, and then that night you might be like, oh my gosh, where are we staying now? And you kind of have to be ready to roll with that. Obviously it's different if you are staying at an RV park. Since we don't stay at an RV park very much, our plans definitely do change more than somebody who is more well thought out and well planned, but we think it's all part of the adventure.
Privacy, privacy, privacy. Reason number 5 why you should probably never RV is because the lack of privacy is unreal. So I'm not really that big of a private person when it comes to my wife and I, but this is our bathroom. So a person like me, 6'2", I usually have to poo with my feet like this. You like that rhyme, huh? 6'2", gotta poo with my legs out here because of the fact that it just doesn't work. So if you're the type of person that needs privacy or doesn't like anyone to know when you are using the restroom, or you're just very private, depending on the size of your RV, that will allow more or less privacy. With the one we currently have, there's little to none. But between Ashley and I and our animals, we really don't mind. We're very open with each other, and so that doesn't really bother us. So if you're somebody who needs a lot of privacy or needs a lot of alone time, RVing probably isn't for you. The one benefit to our rig, and depending on your rig you can have more or less privacy, is that our truck camper and our truck are separated with no pass-through or anything like that, so you can actually get out and go in the front and have your privacy if you needed it, or your alone time if you needed it. So you can always go into the truck for privacy if you need it, or alone time. Or you can go on walks, which also helps with alone time. Not really privacy unless you're like going outside to use the restroom. That's the 5th reason why RVing is probably not for you.
The 6th reason why you might not like RVing is if you and your significant other both work. Grayson and I both have jobs, and so we both are required to work, and sometimes we do need to take phone calls, and it can be really hard in such a small space to both be on the phone and both be having to work. So in this situation, one of us will stay inside the truck camper and the other one will go in the truck, and it works out just fine. Another thing that we do sometimes is we will head to a coffee shop or Panera or something like that, where we can kind of separate a little bit if we do need to make a call. But if we're just working on our computers, we usually like to be right next to each other. So if you and your significant other, or just you yourself, don't really like working in a confined space, then RV life might not be for you, but you definitely can make it work if you wanted to.
The 7th reason why you probably shouldn't RV is truck maintenance. If you use your truck the way us full-timers use our truck, you're putting a lot of miles on your truck, you're hauling or towing a lot of weight, which means you're going to want to do your maintenance a lot more frequently. So for us, we do our maintenance every 6,000 to 8,000 miles based on where we are, based on what we've been doing, road conditions, how much we're hauling, so on and so forth. And I say hauling because a truck camper's hauling, a 5th wheel or travel trailer is considered towing. And so if you don't know how to do your own maintenance, that's going to be a very large issue because it'll cost you a lot of money. Going to repair shops or mechanics that can change your oil, change your air filters, change your brakes and rotors, and do these types of things for you. So for us, we figured out ways to make this pretty efficient and effective, cost effective for us in terms of doing our maintenance. And so this can be a huge turnoff to many because there are also Class C's that need to be maintained. So if you have a drivable RV, that's going to have to be maintained. And if you don't know how to do these things yourself, that is a huge turnoff that is very, 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 very overwhelming. And so I put a lot of areas in there because I stress on this a lot. I have people and friends that we talk to all the time that want to maintain their stuff, that want to learn how to do it, but they just don't do it, and that can cause large issues for your vehicle, which in the end will cause large issues for your wallet. That is the 7th reason why you should probably never RV.
A little bit more to the left. Okay, straighten out. The 8th reason why RV life might not be for you is if you and your significant other do not have great communication skills. You do need to communicate very well in order to get an RV into the spot that you're wanting to put it into, especially if it is a bigger one. We have had a 40-foot fifth wheel and it is so huge and it can definitely be hard to maneuver. After some practice, it definitely does get easier, but to get over that initial little hump, you need to be able to communicate well, whether it being signals, talking on the walkie-talkie, calling on the phone, whatever it is, you need to work together in order to get where you're going. And this still applies with a truck camper. There are sometimes trees that hang really low, as well as power lines, bridges, all this stuff that we encounter, that at times I will need to step on the ladder and see how close it actually is, because sometimes just by looking, I can't even tell. So if you don't have great communication skills, this is another reason why RV life might not be for you. So these are some of the reasons why we think that people wouldn't want to RV. This definitely in no way means that we do not like RVing or we're discouraging anyone from this lifestyle.
Yeah, we absolutely love this lifestyle. So we actually never watched any of these videos, and it was funny realizing that, but Ashley came up with the idea that this would be a great video to make for those that, you know, do want to know why they should probably never RV. So we do appreciate you guys watching this far, and if you love our content, we're going to be coming out with a lot more stuff that looks like this, where we give advice, where we share stories, instead of just sharing our daily vlog. So we do appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to
give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we post next, and let us know what you thought of this video. Did you like it? Do you want to see the things that we love about this life? Let us know, or we might not know to post it.
All right, see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Stay tuned.